with each other, and we haven't even got into the knockout phases yet.
That's it. Unbelievable, Des. It's unbelievable, Des.
Bans are raining in. It's going to be Thatcher that kicks us off. No surprises there. Who will be our second attacker? TSM taking out the Flores. Pretty popular so far.
I keep on saying it, Tim. It is an increasingly popular ban. More and more teams taking it away. You know, Lems on BDS, who are now knocked out, in case you missed the news, often said, you know, it is the strongest operator in the game right now. You've got to be fearful of him. You wouldn't be too surprised to see bans coming in, and that's exactly what's happening here at SI. Valkyrie, a very common ban. We didn't see it banned away in the last map. It was picked up in about half of the rounds. And the final ban coming in from DarkZero, maybe a mirror, maybe not. It is definitely a mirror. So the C4 is offline, the Black Mirror is offline, everything taken off the board there, where she can make some sites incredibly hard to get through when you've got this questionable presence on the other side. It's like Schrodinger's wall. Is there someone behind it? Is there not? Only way you'll know is when you swing it, and they're going to swing you back.
If they're there.
If they're there. But you just don't know. Only until you swing it do you know. Unless you're drone it and you're a good Siege player, in which case, fair play.
First out is going to be Penthouse and Theatre, one that we don't necessarily see too often, but has crept its way back into popularity. Basically, after the changes that we saw to Coastline, we did have some recent attention to the map. It wasn't huge, but it was enough to just change up the flow a little bit. We made a couple of the windows smaller, changed the service area and where you can plant the service kitchen, things like that. Yeah. And Penthouse Theatre did come back into it a little bit because VIP is now more defensible. You'll notice if you're just coming back to Siege and you're saying, what's the other changes? Well, the VIP window is gone. The double window is no longer there. And if we hop over there quickly, there we go. Thank you very much.
You just bully. You're making Easy overworking.
I know.
Feeling well.
I know. Easy did tell us that before he came in. Thank you very much for your speedy reaction there, Easy. It was just so that we could see, at the time, Pambazoo was reinforcing the wall. It's been made into a soft wall that can now be reinforced, and it makes VIP much more defensible. Quite often, I'm thinking of Kayak on G2 through the EUL stage. We'll quite often see somebody play in there, electrify the wall, and just really try to hold on to it. And if they do, it makes Penthouse Theatre a lot more defensible.
Well, Easy just came onto the mic in absolute floods of tears there, that he was just talking to Sayano, you know, having a good conversation with an observer like you and I do on Cast all day, and you've stressed him out by making him go over there. I really think you should apologise.
I'm very, very sorry. Me and Easy get on very well. He knows that I love him.
Do you know that, Easy?
He does. Bye. Thank you very much, Easy.
I really wanted him to come back on the mic and say something, but he said nothing.
He did
so
to
disappointed.
Me.
Now I feel like the unloved one. What is this?
Spoke to me. Right, round one. Here we go. We've got DarkZero on the defense. They're going to be trying to hold on to Penthouse and Theatre. TSM are on the attack and moving quickly. Bolo firing through with the Gon 6, looking to take out Utility and moving in towards Aquarium. For the time being, he's going to hold an angle here, play it a little bit carefully, but then throws caution to the wind. He's going in, Des. He's moving in through luggage, looking to aggress on towards the top of White Stairs, and NJR may be well advised to dip himself away because Charla's on that window as well, and it might just be time to keep yourself alive for the rest of the round, but Bolo can't do that, Des, as Canadian slips underneath and finds himself a little nitro kill.
I've never heard a caster be so excited about someone pushing into security.
Love it. Why would you not? It's Siege, it's just so fun. Okay, Tim. You know,
the kills are flying in very quickly, by the way. 3 kills coming in for DZ, but it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Hard hitting between the two North American teams. We've still got half a round to play. It's a 2 versus 3. Geo trying to swing his way in towards the south side here, but challenged from a couple of angles, mainly inside of Theatre. So whilst he's there, we've got Merc up on Cool Vibes, I believe. You can see in the top left corner of your screen. So the 2 players from TSM are a little bit split at this point, and I imagine they'll want to try and get themselves back together here, make a unified front and push in as a collective rather than relying on individual skill with no drones leading you in. It's unlikely you'll come out on top in those situations.
You're just looking to breach the Theatre wall here. It's always a popular one. It makes this site very, very difficult once that is open because you get a nice long angle all the way through to Hall of Fame. And apart from hiding in behind Master Bed, it's very difficult for defenders to find any safety. Hyper is still holding on to VIP for the time being, and TSM, with time ticking away, need to get something going here, and that is the absolute opposite of of what they needed. Canadian finds Merc. Geo manages to get one, but there is an instant trade, comes back, and DarkZero take the first defensive round on Coastline.
Very, very scrappy. 9 seconds in the round, 5 people dead. Bam! Whole thing transforms. It's no longer a big team effort. It's kind of scrapping together whatever morsels of an attack you can assemble. But a good first round from DarkZero, capitalizing on TSM being split at 2 different sides of the map, and a great C4 coming in from Canadian. This is one of those that you look at and probably say that's sort of on TSM a little bit, because commonly when you see someone trying to get control of the top floor, you'll at the very least have a drone downstairs, but nothing saw Canadian step out with its C4. Bolo wasn't even moving at all, just stood static holding an angle, and it's an absolute freebie for Canadian. Well positioned, well timed, and a little bit sloppy from TSM to not catch that one.
I doubt that they'll be punished in the same way again. I think that they will be paying very close attention to who is where around the map, making sure that they pick up on those roamers. And they're going to need to, because DarkZero are defending kitchen and service this time around, so we would expect to see them with some players up on the top floors. At least one, maybe two, trying to hold on and keep the feet of TSM out of VIP. We do have Achieved on the sledge, as you said, one of his favoured operators, and if he can get in there and start swinging that hammer around, he absolutely will. Now, Canadian setting himself up over in Sunrise, and looks like they're keen to hold on to that as well. It's always an important push, or an angle of the push coming in from the attackers. Take over Sunrise, push in onto the door into kitchen. You can then cover a window plant potentially. So something else that DarkZero need to be aware of.
You always have to consider just how much map control you're trying to take. Like, Coastline isn't a super massive map. You can rotate through large parts of the map in just a few seconds generally, but Sunrise is where they started. They've obviously got something at the top of Vars. They've got the hatch reinforced off inside of Hookah 2. They've got the vertical control inside of VIP and Penthouse. They're all over the shop essentially. So the more spread thin you are, the more opportunities there are for TSM to spot a hole in the defense and just go for broke. For Bolo at least, it's going to be him starting out towards Hookah, spraying the wall down. Not connecting onto anyone, took a little bit of a chip damage himself, mind you. I imagine that came from the man at the top of Vars, and Canadian once again is lurking below. He's inside of Sunrise, so I think it's a good thing that Bolo is now rotating away from Hookah, moving over to join his team on the east.
The bathroom drop has been completed. Achieved is moving in, starting to open up that floor. NJR's just going to be forced back inside of the side. Achieved, of course, needs to be careful. He could find himself just being shot back. But NJR, for the time being, decides to dip back inside of the shelves and just keep himself safe. Geo opens up the hatch and the vertical work continues. There doesn't look to be much of an effort from DarkZero here to prevent it. I take that back. Canadian finds the best operator he could have found, as you don't get to choose them, but it's Sledge he picks up, and there's gonna be a lot less vertical destruction coming in. They've still got Merc on the Zafia who can go in. He's got soft breach charges. He's doing that right now, trying to create a few more angles, but it's not the same convenience as the Sledge.
What a world we're in where Mute doesn't bring a C4, by the way. He's got the bulletproof, and the only C4 was the one in Canadian's back pocket, but he's 2 for 2 in rounds on getting kills with that C4. A wonderful start for the IGL of DarkZero. And now TSM have kind of said, okay, then full map clear sounds like the play. They've got the Nomad of Charla rotating all the way through Aqua up in towards Hookah and Billiards and trying to do some clearance out there, whilst Canadian is now retreated, no longer with an explosive, out towards Sunrise to stop any pushes coming in from the west. So TSM, I feel, have really got to decide what the game plan is here. We're into that final 60 seconds, and yes, they've got a bit of vertical control, but the members are still very scattered around the map.
Merc taking a lot of damage from underneath there. He's still seeking out the feet of the man, but he can't find them. Charla goes on the aggression, but there's cover in place. DarkZero have got a lot of angles held down here, but Bolo finds 2 before being traded out by Pamba. That leaves us 3v3, 3v2 as Merc manages to find NJR. Pamba just trying to rotate himself through into Courtyard, get a new angle, get on the flank and make TSM think. 20 seconds left to go, Des. They're going to have to think about getting this diffuser down, and that is exactly what Geo does. Goes inside a service and starts the plant, manages to find Pamba when he comes off. We'll have to go back to it as Canadian. Last one alive, 1v3, is now inside a Courtyard. Geo surely locks this down. Canadian finds 1 for free, but they know where he is now. Plant confirmed, 1v2. They just need to try and establish a bit of a crossfire here. Charla and Geo try and play together, and it looks like that's exactly what they've done. Charla's moved outside, but I think Canadian's aware. Does he find his man? No! Charla able to cut him down, and TSM managed to cling on to that one and get the round 1-1.
It's like jumping onto a merry-go-round and just seeing where it takes you in this game, Tim. That round there, once they found the first couple, like, I don't know, a kill came from Canadian, then suddenly everything devolved into, let's go and push Aqua, let's try and fight over lobby, let's do everything except really focus on the site. But once Geo got in, everyone stopped messing around, it all turned the focus onto the site itself. And a good bit of heads-up play coming in from Geo as well, because he was planting, but came off to assist with the kills in towards Courtyard. Nice bit of play coming in overall, 1-for-1, nice and balanced between the two teams.
I already feel like this one's probably going to overtime, Des. I just don't feel like there's much to separate these two teams today. They are both very much in this, I think, for the win, but also for just the bragging rights. It's NA versus NA, region versus region. Just try and get in there and get one over on those regular opponents. They're going to be heading now, DarkZero down to Sunrise and Blue Bar, and nothing too unusual. Canadians brought the Echo along, so doesn't have a Nitro in hand this time.
You stole the joke I was going to make there. I was saying, Tim, DZ are already going to lose this round. And you were going to ask me, oh, why, Des? Why have you got such a big brain take on this round? And I was going to say, well, Tim, Canadian doesn't have a C4. He's playing on the Echo. He's clearly... It's like when you've had a few spins and you feel, you know what, this is going well for me. I'm a bow out now. Canadian's gone for that. He doesn't want to make it 3 out of 3. Doesn't want to find losing everything coming.
I've had a good day.
That's it.
I'm going to let someone else have a go.
Someone else can have a bit of fun, but no one's bringing a C4. There's 2 bulletproofs, there's 2 shields on side. The Yokais, of course, are going to weigh in. This just screams to me their focus is going to be denial. All the denial focused in towards pool entrance, up towards the northwest of the site itself, and stop TSM being able to get an easy plant down. For TSM, at least, they aren't starting on that side of things. They're starting in Penthouse and Theatre and want to work their way across. It's almost like, Tim, if they had a C4 in back pocket, now would be a great time to be whipping it out.
Imagine that. We have got one man up on the top there. Eclipse is going to take a lot of damage and likely dip away from that fight. And the thing is, by bringing the Nomad along, I spoke about it earlier during the day when we played Coastline earlier. Once you get in as the attackers, air jab off both stairs, you're safe upstairs. It's like you can just operate up there for free at that point. There's no rush, there's no pressure. You know that you're going to be safe. So as soon as Charlotte can get in, that's exactly what they're looking to do. But we're still trying to fight with somebody out in Hooker and just try and pressure them back downstairs, which I think is exactly what he's done. It looks like the hatch was open, but then there's going to be a little return here. I don't know if that player is just inside. I think they're on Cool Vibe stairs. Yes, they've gone back down the stairs. It was difficult just to tell whether they were inside VIP or on Cool Vibe stairs, but they're going to be forced away, and I think TSM have pretty much got that top floor control they want. It's just going to be down to Charlie to lock it off now with the air jabs.
Yep, good falling back by DarkZero as well, just keeping them guessing, forcing drones to have to come in, for example, forcing them to have to pre-fire on corners, but they get away with most of them intact. I say that, and then Merc finds NJR. Cast a curse, my friend. I am so sorry. With that opener, though, it's the smoke that's gone. One of the 2 big key denial tools they had towards the plant going down in that corner of sight. All they can rely on now is Canadian on the Yokais. He's currently sat on them at this point, feeding information back and forth to the team, moving them around, getting them in position, being ready for when this play comes through.
Canadian just using...
Look, he's sat in bathroom as well. He's miles away from the action.
Just using that drone to try and feed information. We see this a little bit more often where Yokai drones will be used as the equivalent of the attacker drones. Just moving around, trying to find utility, trying to find players, trying to find locations. He's going to lose that one by doing so. And so it may just hinder his ability to deny a plant here. Merc tries to find one, but Pamba manages to cut him down. Immediate trade comes in. Geo's getting the plant down, Des. Somehow TSM have been able to steal inside a site and may just steal the round here. Bolo knows there's a challenge to be found, and boy does he find it. 3 on the round for him, going absolutely wild, taking Hyper down, cuts Eclipse as well. 4K for Bolo, easy for TSM.
Easy for Bolo especially. Wow, big 4K coming out to take round number 3 comfortably for TSM. I feel once they'd already removed the smoke, that was the main threat they were worried about gone, and they were counted through the Yokais as they went. You know, maybe not the best positioning overall for where they were set up by Troy. Like, normally you'd hide them underneath, like, trays. You wouldn't just leave them on the ceiling blind as they were them there. One even got pulled out and sent off on its little journey to Narnia, all the way up to Mordor by the looks of it, up White Stairs, and eventually being shot out. you know, not really the most effective use there or placement for those yokai drones. Does come back to bite them as they have no form of denial, and Bolo goes absolutely nuclear. Now we find ourselves stepping into hookah and billiard, so going upstairs above the floor that we just played on a moment ago. And Tim, I'm dead pleased to report the C4s are back in action, so much so there's 2 of them to make up for lost time.
Not in Canadian's hands though, Canadian being the one to get opening kills with a Nitro in both round 1 and 2. Going to be on the Aruni this time around, brings the bulletproof camera, so feeding the information back. That's likely going to be played looking, it's already been deployed, and it's not looking in towards Aquarium, so it will be elsewhere. I'm sure we'll pick up on it as the round goes along. It's, oh, it is, thank you, Easy. It's on the white beam. I was so focused on the centre of the wall.
See, he's not chatting to Sayana now, is he, huh?
Where it usually goes, that it's found over on the left-hand side.
It's got you covered there, mate. Well and truly looked after. I just wanted to chip in and rip on you a bit. I had nothing else to offer, I'm sorry.
Often the case. Round 4 gets underway. We're into the action phase, and we have got Wamai playing out in Aquarium, but Bolo continues his kill streak there. 4K moves to 5 in a row as he manages to find Pamba and take him out of the round very, very quickly, and Bolo's looking confident here as he's got a drone at his feet and he's getting aggressive towards that sunrise door, moving quickly across the map.
Yeah, I mean, the man's now 7-2. Yes, it's been largely built on the 4K that he got in the previous round, but when he starts firing, he doesn't really tend to stop. Keep a close eye on him throughout this map, because the only one really matching him on the other side is Canadian. Even he's sat down at 4 and 3, 2 of those kills coming in from a C4. So yet to really see who his nemesis is going to be in this game, who can really step up and compete with him. We spoke about how on Villa it was very, very balanced. There was no one hero really standing up for either team. I think we're already starting to see one established in the form of Bolo. Canadian working his way down towards White Stairs. I think he's caught wind that maybe they're pushing in towards lobby here, just checking it out in case a drone comes up as well. You know, part of the job of Aroma is more about destroying drones, drawing utility, wasting time. If they're going to drone you out the top of White, you kill a drone, move back into the next room. They drone you out again, you kill another drone and move back. You've chewed through 20% of their intel gain, so it's always worth being out on the roam, even if not to find kills, just to waste time and to eat through those drones.
Top White currently being held as well at the minute. DarkZero very widespread again on the defence. It was something that they tried last time around in round number 3. TSM were able to force their way into sight pretty quickly once they realised that was the case. They're going to take out the shield at the top of Cool Vibe Stairs, so NJR's position becomes a little bit more perilous, and it looks like they are pushing towards Hooker here, looking to really clear it out. Hyper manages to get Bolo, so that's going to level things up at 4-4. And he's just going to drop himself away into office probably, just to relieve the pressure that was mounting on him from Achieved on the double window.
Again, just more smart play, drawing attention, drawing time, and then dropping away to another location. Really well played drone game by DarkZero in this round especially. Although that does mean they've now got to play below the site itself, not forgetting they are defending the top floor. It does mean they aren't at risk of losing any more members just yet. NJR looking pretty low, but it's a 4 versus 3. Achieved, equalising things back up to 3-3 onto Hyper, who backed away not too long ago. 30 seconds to play with for TSM.
I've got to say, through what we've seen of TSM, it is so often Achieved who does that.
Hello?
When they're behind, he drags them back into it. Eclipse is just looking on the long angle. He's not going to get anybody coming in from Hooker door just yet, but it's not going to be long, Des, because they don't have much of a choice. The Toxic Babe canisters go out, another one is deployed. They're just going to have to go for it through this, and he does manage, Gio, to get himself inside, gets a kill, and is able to start putting the diffuser down. He has to stick this now, and Charla has to cover. He gets one, focuses on the second. Canadian will not be able to cross the path, and that is going to be the diffuser down successfully from TSM. Gio manages to escape outside, and this one looks like it's all but done. They might want to put somebody on the rappel, but they're just going to hold their time here. I think actually Charla's gone underneath to potentially look at a denial from down there. Canadian's going for it. Are they going to stop him in time? Yes, Charla manages to come up the Cool Vibe stairs and gets him through the rotation.
Very nice and smart there to play up Cool Vibes. They had one on the doorway side, one on the stairway side. Just no way in heaven's hell that Canadian gets out of there alive or with the diffuser completed. Good stuff. TSM moved to 3-1 in the half, even with DZ being pretty good on the roam. I've got to say, they're chewing their way through drones, for example. They're wasting quite a bit of time. They're drawing in utility. Not tons to the stage that TSM are completely exhausted on those things, but enough that it's given them something to think about. It's not changing the outcome all that much, though. 3-1 is set as we go back into Penthouse and Theatre, which is where this whole map started off.
And back in round 1, it was a DarkZero win on this site. Canadian just wasn't picked up underneath. He was able to get a nitro kill, really kicked the round off, and then he made a nuisance of himself on the flank. Something that I think TSM need to pay attention to this time. They need to make sure that they're picking up on exactly where the roam game is, because DarkZero have been playing these defences pretty widespread over the last couple of rounds in particular. They've only maybe had 1 or 2 on site generally, so TSM able to go in, and you've 2 choices. You either try and pick them apart, or you move in quickly and try and get yourself directly into site. Given the VIP setup this time, I don't think it's going to be the latter of those choices, so just try and get yourself in underneath. Make sure you've cleared everybody out. Canadian does have a nitro again. He's on the Goyo, so may play closer to site. He may head downstairs again. We'll have to keep an eye on exactly where he goes. But TSM, learn your lesson. Make sure you're picking up where everybody is and go and clear them out.
Overall, these castle barricades back in round 1 as well were dealt with pretty quickly. They just burnt their way through them. Not forgetting, of course, you have gone 6. You've got Sophia on side. They aren't really long for this world. You've already heard the first one come out here as well. Bolo popping it open, and Hyper is at the doorway to meet him. As a C4 in back pocket, if he feels like chancing it, he could just chuck a C4 over this edge here and might find Bolo quite easily, since he won't have much time to react and go clay pigeon shooting. For now, it's almost like he's daring him to get on the rappel, because of course you see the top of the rappel line when it attaches onto a surface, and he'll know exactly where the aggressor is.
Hyper looking to get aggressive himself. Just moving through towards Aquarium, and I think DarkZero just trying to have a presence around the map and just let them know that nothing is going to come for free here. As you can see, again, quite widespread, this defense. They've got 1 in VIP, 1 in corridor, 1 in sight, and then the other 2 are off roaming, 1 inside a hooker and 1 on Cool Vibe stairs. So there is work for TSM to do here, and they're being very cautious about it. There's a minute in, and they're still just looking to find exactly where these players are before they take the challenge. Hyper is on the receiving end of one of those challenges. He's going to take a lot of damage and dip himself back to the corridor to keep himself safe and continue in the fight, but needs to be careful here because there was no damage done to the side of TSM.
It's very close up to Hyper, but he's alive for now at the very least. Halfway into the round, and they're finally starting to get some feet inside the building. You've got Merc pushing in off towards kitchen side. You've got Bolo, who's just stepped in and looked towards luggage. So it's taken them a while to get the drone work done and to feel confident to actually step inside the building, but I touched on Coastline as a map earlier on. Oh dear. That happened. And that happened too.
Just a complete lack of awareness of where Merc was coming from. But as you say, Eclipse manages to answer back, and that's something you picked up on, Des, from Merc, and it's happened again. He gets that entry, he gets traded out, not always managing to get the full benefit of that opening kill. 4 versus 4, 1 minute left to go. Achieve taking a lot of damage on the hooker door, trying to push in, knows that a man is prone, obviously has information. Somehow the Aruni of Eclipse managed to escape for a little bit of time, but is ultimately found. Pamba finds Bolo at the same moment, and Charla, he repels into the top of White Stairs and is looking to push directly onto site here. TSM aren't going to have too many options if they allow the clock to keep ticking. 3v3, 35 seconds left to go. They need to find some kills.
It's just consistently coming down to these 1v1 gunfights as well, where again the team aren't strictly playing together, but there are really good trades being offered back by the other side. A 1v1 battle turns into a whole team brawl in the end. And here's another one. Charla, this time bringing down Pamba as he steps out for a challenge. There's still one more sat inside of theatre. I don't think they know. NJR tucked in, could play massive spoiler in this round if he knows which side they're coming from. He's got 1 to either side of him. They've got not a clue that he's in the corner. Finds 1, also a swing on 90 comes in. Canadian weighing in at the last second. It's all down to Achieved. And a little bit of misdroning on the site itself. They may have done the surrounding runes and the stairways, but didn't think about those that might be holding it down themselves.
Beautiful play from NJR and Canadian there in the 2 versus 3. Never an easy situation, especially for NJR. Had 1 pushing on either side of him, but Canadian dealt with that when he stepped out into the corridor, and that just shows good communication between the 2. NJR obviously aware of the situation around him, called out the danger, and his teammate was able to react quickly and help him to deal with it. So DarkZero taking themselves another successful defense of Penthouse Theatre. If you were going to pick any site on the map to be the one that they held on to, Des, it might not be that one.
A win's a win. At the end of the day, they'll be happy to take it. Now they're going to try Blue Bar and Sunrise for the last of the half. Before we'll switch sides and see how TSM fare on the defense of Coastline. Again, remembering, this is DarkZero's map pick. Back on Villa, it was TSM's, which DarkZero walked away as the winner on. If you were a betting man, you'd probably say DarkZero have got some kind of confidence on this map, some ideas they can bring to the fore. We've seen a couple in this half, and it's mainly been in the form of C4s coming out of Troy. But does mean this half can end 3-3 at the most for them. Let's see how things set up here, down in Blue Bar and Sunrise then. Nothing really out of the ordinary that we're seeing just yet, to be fair. The usual rotate between sides, a bunch of reinforcements scattered around, some attention being given out towards service and entrance, or service entrance, sorry. Normally why you see that is because someone wants to play inside a kitchen and challenge onto the service entrance doorway. Again, just slow them down, draw some drones in. Where I've seen mistakes made here across the tournament a couple of times is people overstay their welcome. And the problem then is the attackers get someone sat on kitchen window, you try and back in through kitchen, try and back out through kitchen because you can't go via lobby because someone's on that door. You just find yourself a little bit trapped essentially. So I want to make sure that DarkZero are dropping back in good time and not getting themselves a member or two going down without being able to get out safely.
TSM have gone straight onto the rappel towards Penthouse double window, looking to start a little bit of a top floor clearance as well, I would expect. And then you've got Bolo just around the corner here. He's going to be droning out and I think has probably found Pamba by the looks of those shots that rain in through the service door, just looking to see if he can catch the man out. But he's not too worried about getting in there and aggressing directly into him, I wouldn't have expected. Given that it's the Malusi, he'll know that there's a Banshee in place. Merc nearly catches one out on the rotate as he sprints across the VIP doorway, but he will escape down Cool Vibe stairs. It's Eclipse that's just moving himself to safety, and TSM looking pretty good for top floor control.
Yeah, it took them about 90 seconds last time to get real control to actually get inside the building in the first place, but the fact that they're in on the east side now and looking to move their way through is a good sign. Pamba still left, largely ignored downstairs, mind you. He doesn't look too bothered right now, while Hyper is having his own challenges off towards the site, just sat above it, drops away as Merc steps in. Cool Vibes, oh, good timing to get away there just as Merc steps in to look for the challenge, but he catches Canadian on the rotate back out. A good kill to find, the mute going down along with that C4.
Merc getting the opener there, now it's time to keep yourself alive, keep in the game, don't be traded out, and really get the full benefit of that opening kill. 5 versus 4, Canadian gone, he's straight onto the cameras trying to feed information back into his team, but TSM, they are now able to start opening up above the site with the Nomad on site of Charla. There's no reason that she should be getting challenged again up on that top floor. There's a lot of work to be done here. There's the mute jammer that needs to be cleared out, and then the wall can be open. They can force the defender out from behind that position. Merc does manage to get Pamba, and the Hibana of Geo is looking to start that work. Merc's just picking him apart here. Des has got himself 3 on the round. This could be 4. No, shut down by Hyper, but it could be too little too late for DarkZero, as it's now 2 versus 4. Eclipse doing what he can, takes out the drone, but he's going to have to dip away from the plant spot there. But Hyper, he decides he's going to get hyper aggressive here. He's going up to the door, but Geo cuts him down, and that's going to leave it all up to Eclipse. 1v4 shut down by Achieved on the swing, and that's going to be TSM taking round number 6. 4-2 half for them.
In dominant fashion as well, a lot of it coming off Merc, the man who we spoke about earlier on, constantly being traded out as the opening man. I think he got into a spot at the top of Cool Vibes where I thought, okay, DarkZero backed away here, they won't find themselves caught, but it was really good intuition by Merc to immediately swing over to the hatch and hope to capitalize someone who was moving around trying to reposition once the call had come in that he was present up above. Very smart play, a big 3K, hands the round to TSM, and now they turn onto the defensive side whilst DarkZero get their swing of the bat on the attack.
It's going to be Kitchen to begin with for TSM. Are we going to see Coastline play out in favour of the attackers today? I'm sure DarkZero fans out there are going to be hoping that that is the case, or is it just the fact that TSM were in control of it? Not too unusual for us to see teams take each other's map picks and go and win them and just find ourselves on a third decider. At the end of the day, when you're talking about a map pool and a professional team, you got to be capable on all of them. You know, you've got to at least be able to put in a reasonable game. Obviously teams have their favourites, they have some that they are better than others, but you would still expect them to be able to be competitive on all.
I think that's fair to say, yeah. You need to be able to, in the same way when you play ranked, right? You might step onto, I don't know, Favela, Canal, maps you don't like playing. You need to know how to play them to some level. Pro teams, being way, way ahead of that, will definitely have some competency on all 7 maps. A lot of it just comes down to preference. It comes down to the amount of prep time that you've invested. I know for some teams, for example, they're just like, well, everyone else is playing that map, so we're not going to play it and we're just going to ban it away every single time. And there's a couple of teams that do it on Chalet. I forget which ones they were, but I spoke to a couple and that was sort of their approach. Is if everyone else is playing it, we'd rather just ban it away so all that prep time they're given into the newer map is exhausted and wasted. So not all a bad strategy. You'd rather focus on getting 3 or 4 right than work on all 7 and find yourself more watered down. Anyway, 30 seconds in, DarkZero are starting out exactly as TSM would have, with the initial drone work coming in, making sure they actually have a way of getting inside the building in the first place. And one of the key differences is Pamba on this Twitch can obviously run around with those shock drones, which he was doing for a second there, and clear out any gadgets that he finds. And he's got a good few targets, looking in towards those magnets, looking in towards the electro claws, for example. Can't, of course, shoot his way through the other things like the bulletproof Banshees or through the Evil Eyes, but can still threaten them if they were to open up.
Charles sees one man move across service, but just far too quick to react to, and lets him go, feeds the information to Achieved, who is trying to hold down the main door in the direction that he was headed. There's actually 3 looking to push in from there at the minute, and until Achieved is moved out of his position here, they are not going to be able to. They will be held up. Jala's got the perfect weapon in hand to be able to hold down this service door, and Hyper was aware of this earlier, and I think he might still be watching that angle onto double window. He is just waiting for the potential jump out there. He's desperate for them to try it, because he's just going to pull the trigger as soon as they do. It looks like Merker's just dipped away from it. He's going to have no further part in that, and Hyper guesses that's going to be the case and turns his attention back towards service.
Well, double smoke coming down into lobby is interesting. Don't normally see this unless you want to go in for a plant, yet no one's made a move. In fact, here we go, finally stepping inside a service. It's Hyper looking in towards one side, but he falls down to Charla as Alder gets set to work. There is one more man just in front of him that he can't quite find. There's a trade back on the other way. Pambazu finding a double, but Charla evens things out as well. A 3 versus 3. Charla onto a slither of HP, and Canadian with a great angle inside a courtyard. It's going to force one member out of sight altogether. So now it starts forming into this sort of retake situation for a couple of members of TSM, but you still got Charla sat with that Alder, waiting for someone to step in. It's Pamba stepping up for a 3K in the round. Looks for one more coming down on White. He's got the right idea. Can he land the shots? No, he cannot. Dipping away, in and out into a 2 versus 2, Tim.
Pamba does have Diffuser in hand here, and after finding that quad kill, he's going to go for the plant. Pambazu doing absolutely everything inside of this round as Gio's trying to take a pot shot through the wall, and JR's going to pinch away that ace from Pambazu, but he won't mind in the slightest. This is all about winning rounds, winning games, and that is exactly what DarkZero just did. 3-4 after a successful first attack.
I want to say convincing, but it was more Pamba that was convincing than anything, right? You step in and find 4 kills like that. Yeah, fair play. A round is going to be pretty convincing if you're hitting shots like that the whole way through. Had the plant going down, so regardless of what happened after that point, I didn't really see him losing it. There was a yellow ping that came into where he was planting, but of course you got some cover from NJR, ensures the round goes their way. TSM not wanting to see this series end 2-0 are cracking on with things here on the defensive side. What more they could turn this into is going to be, defensive side. DarkZero not wanting it to end, too favourable towards TSM. They're starting to crack on their attacking side and get things going. Now we're going to step ourselves into Blue Bar and Sunrise.
TSM then, they're not going to want to let DarkZero get the heads here and start catching up too much. This is an important round for them to try and win if they're going to try and take this to a 3rd map here. DarkZero on the attack. We know that Coastline can play in their favour. It looks like we've just had a call for a rehost. Tell you what, we've not had too many of those, have we?
No, we haven't, to be fair.
This might be our first, actually. We've had a couple where during the break between maps, you know, somebody's had to just drop out and sort something out back in. But actual rehosts, I think it might be our first. Second at an absolute push. It's
very limited.
Very, very good so far, Touchwood.
This is a good time to do a little update as well on what we just heard about what's going on the other stream. BDS have just won Cafe 7-3. That doesn't have any bearing on the actual outcome of the group. BDS are donezo. They are going home essentially on Sunday. But if nothing else, it's a bit of a point to say, well, here's what we can still achieve, right? We can still play. Is it against some of the best teams in the world? Everyone here arguably is one of those. It's against Elevates. Maybe you'd say no, but a result is a result. You know, heart does break a little bit for them as well, knowing they've had a rough few days in terms of Rafal not being present, then being back in the team. But ultimately, the results speak for themselves, and, you know, the 4 teams from this group, at least, that are going through, Tim.
We do. We will be back with you in the game very, very shortly. We're just going to get all the players loaded back in. There was just a little drone bug that's meant that we've had to just drop out and basically just reload everybody back in. That is the case. I can see the lobby in front of me, so we'll get the game started. And as soon as we know that everything is smooth, we will be back with you. We've got some replays in the meantime, just to keep you entertained. Feast your eyeballs on some of these fantastic kills that we've seen so far. It's been a real battle between these two North American sides so far. Neither of them wanting to concede ground to the other. I don't think, Des, there's been a time really where anybody's been clear by 3 rounds.
No.
The most advantage anybody has had has been TSM at 3-1. You know, other than that, it's all been 1 round difference basically on the scoreline.
You'll take that for a nice competitive game. The thing that would have really sucked coming into this, because there's naturally a lot of rivalry between these two teams, right? We know exactly what Canadian can be like when he's screaming across the room, whether it's SSG, Oxygen, TSM, you name it. He'll be screaming the house down at whoever is sat there. But for TSM, a team that are kind of trying to show, look, all right, Stage 3 was a one-off, like, deal with it. DarkZero, who are trying to prove a point themselves, have now had Canadian for 6 months. And generally that 6-month mark is where you're expected to start seeing results. We've said much the same, interestingly, for BDS, this competition with BIOS being with them now for about 6 months. Obviously hasn't worked out too well for them, but for DarkZero, although it looks shaky to start things off, they are looking good, at least in this series. Let's see then how our double bar site setup goes. We're not going to see, out of the defending side this time round, anything like a echo coming through. There is a smoke, as you come to expect, but a slightly different tactic being shown by TSM compared to what we saw coming out of DarkZero.
Moving into the round we go then. It's going to be round 8. TSM on the defence once again. Blue bar Sunrise, as you say. We've got a lot of players off site at the minute. Look at this aggression from Achieve.
Okay.
Manages to take Canadian down. Gives it a little Oryx dash to get out of there. And that is a big start for TSM on this defence. Losing Canadian straight away and the hard breach as well, Des. Not ideal.
Although, I guess you kind of are, because the reinforced walls inside of the pool entrance are normally quite key to get opened up to give you better angles through in towards the site, move the defenders around, for example. It's not critical to have, but I'd argue it's still quite important. You've got the Maverick, but do you really want a Maverick to be opening that wall up knowing a C4 can come through, or smoke canisters? Not really. Hyper getting one bat at least onto Achieve. So they're going to shut down the Oryx here, who could be such a troublesome roamer if left unchecked. They'll be happy that he's been taken off the board here. So 1 for 1, all inside the first 60 seconds.
It manages to do some damage to Hyper there. I think he was possibly looking for a little bit of a headshot, but didn't quite land it. Does take a little bit of chip damage off the Iana, but also announces his presence inside of Penthouse. He's going to open the hatch to give himself an option to get out of there. He was just waiting to be droned. If they didn't, he may have continued going, and that's exactly what he does. He guesses that the challenge is going to come, and he manages to beat Hyper to the punch and get himself the kill. Takes half damage, but he's just causing a little bit of a sticking point here, Des. They have to get in and clear him out, and they're not being too quick in doing it. They certainly can't lose another life to it. Eclipse manages to challenge, get the kill, and that's 3 versus 3.
Inside about 90 seconds to have dealt with the roam game, you're not going to complain about it all that much, I don't think. You might still see Geo wanting to get out in the map and get problematic. Even Bolo could, but knowing the site, you probably want to hunker down a bit here. You've got the smoke to play behind, for example. You've got a couple of impacts you can just yeet in towards that back corner. Bolo could be the difference maker. Currently sat inside a service entrance, waiting for someone to come hopping in through the door. And now slightly scared away by the sky is falling down. It's NJR with a hammer, knocking out some floorboards and giving him something to think about. So he will now relocate ever so slightly inside of the bathroom to look in towards lobby, and Pamba is going to see him on the drone. So that really is going to be the indication that he knows he's about to get pressured. Watches in towards lobby. He's daring someone to come for the swing. If he shuts down Pamba here, it could be massive for them. You've also got the sledge above. Almost finds a kill there. In fact, will find it. Can he get the second? Yes, he can. That is one way to shut down the pressure coming in from the attackers. And with that move itself, he may have just won the round for TSM.
Oh, it's just too good. It should not be allowed. Finds his third, doesn't move his feet out of bathroom. Absolutely unreal. 1 kill on the vertical, 1 at distance, 1 on the main door. He just does it all inside that 3K.
That is scary. You know, look back over the notes from the last few rounds. You know, Merc 3K in round 6 that won in the round. In round 7, it was a Pamba 4K that won the round for DZ. This one, a big 3K from Bolo, off on the roam by himself, completely unassisted. Achieves exactly the same outcome. And this sort of thing seems to follow TSM around. Look back at their game against Fury the other day that you and I cast. We already mentioned the first half of Villa, where there were 4Ks, aces, 4Ks, all sorts coming in. It was an absolute nightmare, and TSM are still delivering the goods. All that built on top of some excellent team play makes them a real force to be reckoned with. They are at 5-3. A couple more rounds, and we will find ourselves going through to bank for the decider in this NA showdown. For now, at least, though, we find ourselves in service and kitchen once again.
We do. We saw this back in round 7. DarkZero were able to get the win.
As Pamba got the win.
That's very true. Pamba 4
4K.
kills and tried to get the diffuser down as well. Tried to do absolutely everything for his team. DarkZero are going to need a little bit more of a widespread contribution, I would have thought this time. We've said it.
Reminds me of you in the rank stack. That does 4 kills and getting the plant down.
It's easy stuff, isn't it? Just
well, it's not 5, is it, mate? You could be a bit better.
Easy business, does. We've said it time and again. You can't always rely on those hero players. You know, they're going to have to find something different here. I still think it came down to 2v2 at the end. It was close. It wasn't dead straightforward.
No.
So DarkZero need to find kills around the map. I think what DarkZero need to be doing in these next few rounds that they've struggled over the last few is getting kills, but holding on to them, not taking the trades, not taking the losses as well.
Kind of what TSM had to learn to do with Merc as the game's gone by as well, where he'd find the entry, step forward a few more steps, and then lose his life and get traded out. Wasn't always pretty. Bamba, at least, and Hyper, and Eclipse are all setting themselves up out towards the east. You've got the Sledge now looking to get control above. That's NJR. Taking it very, very slow, and the electrification coming through onto the VIP wall does give them another obstacle to have to work around. It's going to be a case of removing away a bunch of utility here. You're looking in towards things like those Malushi Banshees, the Evil Eyes, the Frost Mats, the Electro Claws, the Magnets. There is an absolute ton for them to still chew through, but they do have help against any roamers that would be present with the Jackal coming out of Canadian.
DarkZero just mounting up on that service entrance side. Service and main lobby looking to be a lot of the focus of the push. Canadian just conscious of the potential for somebody inside of Sunrise.
Finds one.
He spots him out. Bad time for a barricade achieved as Canadian able to find the headshot there, and that gives DarkZero a little bit of a boost into the round here. Not even the halfway mark, and that is a big starter for them.
Big risk. Oh, screamer of a shot onto Bolo. Gets the yellow ping for an assist. Sure, say what you want, but the old man can still hit some nasty shots. A second in the round going down. 3v5 for TSM, and it's not looking so good. You were saying for DarkZero, find those openings and then just control it from there. Well, he's found 2 without barely setting a single foot inside the building, Tim.
And great players they have been, both of them from him, and DarkZero really now need to keep the foot down here, I think. Keep the pressure on, don't know what, there we go, and that's exactly what they do, finding the kill onto Charla. That's what I wanted to see. Don't let TSM settle down and start finding challenges here. Eclipse, yes, gets in, getting the diffuser down, keeping the pressure up, keeping the time rolling. 3K from Canadian.
Oh my.
That'll be a 4K and a flawless round for DarkZero.
That was so composed coming out of DarkZero. They barely had to step inside the building and have already found themselves 3 kills. Great stuff, not getting dragged into the slugfest that we've seen in previous rounds. They moved themselves up to 4, and like I mentioned, Canadian barely setting a foot inside the building here, steps inside office, back out again, ding, straight onto Bolo's head, and there goes his skull, and finds himself the 3K into a 4 to close things out. Beautiful round from the IGL, but again, I'll draw back to what we've commented on before. It's another hero play coming out of one member of the team.
Could we be going to overtime for a second map in a row? Wouldn't surprise me between these two. 5-4 at the minute. If TSM don't want to see all 12 rounds here, they need to be winning this one at least. As soon as DarkZero get themselves onto 5, it'll guarantee that all 12 will be needed at least for TSM to close things out. It's going to be hooker and billiards this time around. We are yet to see this site from TSM, so we'll see exactly what they bring to the table, but DarkZero certainly keeping the pressure on at the minute. For me, Des, they just don't feel maybe quite as lethal as TSM did on the attack, though.
It's about the Mozzie being brought along here, I think, to control the information game, right? I mean, a lot of what happened in that last round from Canadian was being informed by the drone. So what do you do in that case, Tim? You bring along some anti-drone utility to shut things down. It's only going to be a few pests, but it does mean they can play in potentially key locations whilst denying information away from DarkZero to not hand over any freebies. Canadian, though, has had his fun on the Jackal. Now he's been told, right, Troy, great 4K. Now get back on support. He's back on the ace here. He did go down as the opening death last time round. We saw him playing on this operator, so we'll keep a close eye on it, make sure he stays alive a bit longer. Imagine those Selmas are destined for the courtyard quadruple wall. Getting that open does force the bar player away, although I did comment earlier on that you can now do that in a different way because the bar itself is now destructible. You can blow it out with a Zofia, you can blow through it potentially with Gun 6s if you want to. There's all sorts of ways to get it opened up to make the player that sits behind it sweat that little bit more.
Canadian straight up to the rooftop, going to be opening the bathroom hatch with his soft breach gadget there, and then potentially pushing towards the aquarium balcony. No, he's going to maybe have a look at the triple wall.
What's the wall?
I think that's ultimately what he wants. You get the ace up on there, you can take some lumps out of the wall there from the far side of the roof, and it just stops anybody playing in behind bar. That's the purpose of doing that. It also makes it difficult for them to rotate around site.
Well, looks like the acknowledgement is there for the side of TSM, who very quickly vacate out of Billiards. There's one now tucked in the southwest corner. The rest are scattered to the high winds. So a couple of them running out towards the east side of the map. One on Vars and one down in Sunrise. So really, only one man actually on site with a second playing perimeter to it. If DarkZero were to smoke this out, pull the trigger and just say, let's just go for it, boys, they could get away with a good couple of freebies here, potentially. A great nade coming in, and that could be the sign they're looking for.
Just nade after nade going off there, just one after another. Explosions absolutely everywhere. Difficult for TSM to keep them safe, and Gio could not achieve that. Bolo going onto the door here. He's getting aggressive. He's maybe seen Nello's plays earlier. Des, he wants to get some action on the pool entrance. He's not going to find any, though, as timing once again just takes the man away from him. We've got one established up on hooker deck for DarkZero, another one on Aqua Balk. DarkZero getting themselves positioned here well. They just need to be cautious of those TSM roamers that still haven't come back to site yet.
I think Bella was chancing a run out there for a second, thinking about it, but has bailed on that very quickly now that two members of DarkZero have got themselves onto the Aqua balcony, looking to step in. A Gun 6 from below, in case you're curious about how much damage it does, you can see it on Charla's health bar. The answer is not an awful lot, but would have had a chance to potentially pop him down from below if it stayed still a little bit too long, but moved away pretty quickly.
Achieved holding a nice angle from the top of White Stairs onto Aqua Balk. It could be decisive once DarkZero try to get themselves on there towards site, but another life is lost along the way. This time it's Bolo, and we find ourselves 5 versus 3. DarkZero seriously lacking in drones at this point. Only 2 remaining, plus any active Twitch drones, so it is very, very hard times for them. Pamba's going to move up. Cool vibes here. The Banshee is going to halt his progress. They must know he's coming now. The kills are coming in. Somehow DarkZero come out on top, and it's 2 versus 1. Diffuser going down. They have to stick this. Achieved shut down by Pambazoo, and it's leveled up once again. There's 5 versus 5 on the scoreboard, and we are going to see at least all 12 rounds here.
I love what we're seeing as well. DarkZero really battling down in. Not forgetting, they were finding themselves down at 5 and 3 just a couple of rounds back, but we're back up to 5 and 5. So much so that it has inspired a timeout to be called in here. I'm pretty sure that's going to come out from TSM as well. They're the ones not having such a good time at the minute with those last 2 rounds going against them. NJR doing a lot of work in this round as well. A big 3K coming in and making sure he could get in for that plant. Again, just like Pamba did earlier on. 3 kills for himself and then going for the plant. Great performance out of individual members of the team. There's a world where you could say if it comes down to individual members winning rounds, is it necessarily a good sign for the team? No, but if it's getting you round wins, who the hell cares?
Exactly that. 5-5 it is now. DarkZero have potentially got a 2-0 win in reach here. They could take all 3 points, which given their entrance into this tournament and the first couple of games they've had would be an upset here, because TSM have certainly shown us better performances so far, but DarkZero have stepped it up a notch today, and they might just be a little bit of a different force for teams to reckon with from here on out. We're going to be going into round 11 very shortly. We've got the tactical pause at the minute with Pojo just trying to instill some ideas, some confidence, some...
Galvanise the troops, Tim.
Galvanise the troops, exactly that for TSM going forward. It's going to be a defence of Blue Bar and Sunrise from them. We've seen them defend this already back in round 8. They were successful in winning it. I know, simply say for the win, Bolo too good.
Bolo too good.
It was the 3K from Frost in battle.
I'll be spamming that now. You know what? You want to know what a coach does, right? To earn their paycheck and be standing on this stage. What's the one thing a coach has to say to really change the outcome of a round? You know what they say, Tim? They say, boys, more frag grenades. They've got 8 in this round coming out here across their operators. It's going to be a nightmare. Canadian, 6 picking off the Jackal into the Finker. More nades on board. The only other thing they've got in the back pocket is the smokes coming out of the Twitch. On the other side, they've got the Wamai still, of course, in play. No Jaeger on the field. So, sure, keep a close eye out for the Wamai. See if they can get rid of those with the Twitch drones. Then it is going to be explosive hell inside the map. The one thing I do remember criticizing DZ before, I think it was back in Sweden, they had 36 nades brought along in a half and they had 1 nade kill from it. And I said, look, if you bring in 36 frag grenades, you've got to be finding more kills than that. I'm hoping here with 8 in back pocket, they can find at least 1 in the round. So expect some vertical play to come through. Expect them to be trying to catch out members who are isolated by spamming nades at them. It could be beautiful or it could be an absolute mess.
Could be. I'd have to agree. I think, you know, you could talk to me about clearing utility all you want, and yep, I'm sure the frag grenades did a lot of that, but 36, you've got to be finding more than 1 kill realistically.
Yeah.
Now then, DarkZero, they've brought along the Twitch, the drones already being deployed. It's been pretty constant throughout from Pamba, having a great game on the operator so far. Obviously, we've had a little rehost, so the kills are no longer accurate on your screens, but he is going well, let me tell you that. A 4K and an almost plant in 1 round alone from him. Certainly a player to be watching at this point in time for the remaining 2 rounds. We might see some overtime here, we might not. It depends what happens over the next couple, but it's certainly DarkZero that have got the momentum at the minute, taking the last 2 rounds back-to-back. Interestingly, TSM won 3 rounds back-to-back in their first half. If DZ can match that, Des, on the attack, they're going to be going with a map point in the next round.
Look, Tim, frag grenades going off everywhere. It's like a whole New Year fireworks celebration. I love it. 4 have been used so far. They've got rid of a couple of the magnets on the way through. Others just kind of thrown idly into the middle of the room, hoping they'd find something, and, well, nothing was found. At this point for Geo, he's the one you're looking to. The longer he stays alive, the more of these magnets he'll have. Another frag goes off. Another one is thrown in. No one's being damaged by them on the side of TSM, though they're not really too concerned right now as the first smoke canister gets deployed at that minute 15 mark.
Geo's just looking to pop up from behind the bar, see if he can catch them on the way in. They've been unsuccessful in moving him so far, DarkZero. They've managed to get themselves into office, though, and Hyper's just going to start walking into sight here, Des. He could cause a real problem for TSM. I don't think they're aware of his location, and if he just moves now, he's going to find the man behind the bar and really close down a solid part of the defence here. They're trying to move him around, but no,
timing!
And he just sees Hyper and shuts him down. 45 seconds left to go, DarkZero. You got to get moving.
Timing-wise, it's been so unfortunate for DarkZero there. 2 kills come in the way of TSM, and just when you thought Hyper might have a massive impact, he drops the gun, goes for the sprint. Even even Canadian's been shut out. NJR does get 1 back, but at this point it feels like a consolation kill. Eclipse going for a plant. Can they stop him here? Yes, they can, because Geo's behind the bar. NJR left all alone. I don't think he can clutch this out in a 1 versus 3, but if he can, well, I'm gonna buy him a drink tomorrow. No, he gets shut down by Bolo. TSM move up to match point. It's 6-5.
TSM the ones able to stretch it that little bit further. The question is now, can they go 1 better than DarkZero did on the defense? DarkZero, sorry, the opposite way around on the attack. DarkZero, no, what am I doing to myself, Des? It's too late at night for me. DarkZero on the defense managed to get 2 rounds. Can TSM get 3? That's what I was trying to say.
It's one of those where it's, you know, we get up to, give context, we get up quite early as well. We're ready for our 2 games of the day, your breakfast.
I've been to the gym this morning.
Sorry, mate. Just want to flex a bit more for me there.
I was up at 8 o'clock. I had breakfast. I've been to the gym. I've had a busy day.
And now we're at 9:20 after a lot of casting.
And I'm an old man.
We've been running around doing some interesting photo shoots today. So those who don't know, the guy who does all our social media work, Bart, his name is, he is just a content machine. He literally came to us with a spreadsheet of pictures of memes and was like, right, I want to recreate as many of these as possible. So we've got one that you'll see at some point on the timeline of me and Tim doing the whole, like, lying in bed thing where I'm essentially the one turning my back with my arms folded, being
It's
like,
a couple in bed.
oh, he's definitely thinking about casting with someone else. And Tim's on the other side just thinking something. We don't know what the tagline is yet.
Don't know what he's thinking, yeah?
We don't know. Well,
I'm thinking.
I don't know what you're thinking, Tim.
I'm
You don't know
referring
what
to
you're
myself
thinking.
in the third person here.
Bart's going to do all the thinking for you, Tim. But when you see that on the timeline later, fair warning, me and Ace were in bed having a cuddle together earlier on.
Won't be the first time.
No, or the last.
Moving on then, we're going to be heading back in after the DarkZero tactical pause. They have called it at the 11th hour after the 11th round, and they're going to try to lock things down now. They need to close this round out. They need to find it to take themselves to overtime. Otherwise, they're going to be taking themselves to a third map, and that is potentially not going to be very easy for them on bank. TSM have looked confident on the roam, and if they can continue that, it could be a danger. Somebody like Polo let loose out on the roam of a big map like bank could hurt them.
Just a little bit. I like the setup coming out from TSM, and when I say setup, really what I mean is operator lineup. Again, forgive us, it's late. We're seeing a double intel lineup coming out. You've got the Maestro and you've got the Echo on side. About 2 years ago, they would have been involved in our trifecta of must-ban operators. It was always a combo of Echo, Maestro, and Mira. Those three were always taken off the board because they were just so oppressive. These days, a little bit less so. There are other operators you've got to ban away. Mira still being quite present in that mix, and Valkyrie definitely up there in terms of ban rate around the world. I'm pretty sure she is the most banned defender, with mine not too far behind as well. But at least with these two ops, they should have a good idea as to what's going on. What I do want to see from Geo is better use of the drones than what we saw coming out of Canadian. Not that Canadians were absolutely trash, he was using it to help collect information for the team, but there were none left to help them deny plants going down in the back corner of Sunrise itself. They're not on that site here, but Geo, I want to see him make good late round use of those yokais.
And thanks to our eagle-eyed observer, Easy, who doesn't miss a thing. I believe Merc has actually impacted one of the yokai drones. So they've actually taken some of that utility off themselves. Thank you for spotting that one, Easy. And it leaves them with only one now in play. And that could be a big, big loss for TSM here.
It's less than ideal. Very much less than ideal.
Very much less than ideal. Merc's playing up on the top floor again. We've seen him do this roam before, and he was very successful with it. Got himself a kill and managed to burn a ton of time. I think he got 2 kills, actually, and was able to burn a ton of time. So they need to deal with him better. Probably need to just push him at the same time. They know where he's going to be. They know that he's going to be Penthouse Theatre. Get in there and deal with him.
There we go. NJR starting up on the north side balcony. A couple of other members of DZ joining him, or at least out towards that northeast side. So looking no doubt towards the penthouse there to control. C4s from below will not really be a big factor in this round, given no one has one. So they should be able to get control quite comfortably. Then all eyes turn towards NJR. They turn towards the 4 frag grenades still in the back pockets of members of DZ. But that's the dream kill. We spoke about this before. What a big achievement coming out of Merc. 2 kills shut down. It is answered very quickly by DZ. But you've got 2 fantastic operators. You've removed 2 frag grenades that were in the Maverick's back pocket. You've removed the sledge, who you were relying on for all of this vertical destruction. The only thing that can help them there now is going to be the single impact in the back pocket of Canadian to open up holes in the floor. Dream start for TSM.
So you've really got to pick your place at that point, haven't you? Canadian is up there. He does have, I think, a couple of the explosive canisters left as well in his gadget, so it could potentially open up a couple of holes, but it's certainly not going to be as many as they might have wanted. 45 seconds left to go in TSM. They are just pretty much committed here to holding down their positions, I think. We've got Bolo in behind the bar, and there's just a little bit of a showdown between him and Hyper now, but Hyper needs to be careful about his aggression here because he does have the diffuser in hand. Charla's going to take some damage. Oh! Bolo has the information from the gadget, just proximity alarm going off and letting him know that Hyper was pushing, but Hyper still somehow gets the kill, but they also lose one at the same time. 2v2, Pamba going in, shut down by Achieved.
Oh,
Hyper
boy.
gets Charla. It could be all up to Hyper here. He needs to find the last. He's going to go for the plant. 10 seconds left to go. I don't think Achieved's going to make it in time. The ping is there. Yes, he does. Simple as that. TSM take the round, take the map, and we're going to 3.
all the way through to Bank. Yeah, again, really can't overstate the impact of Merc starting kills there. It left things a little bit reliant on Hyper coming in from the Sunrise side to get the kills, and yes, he found them. But when it came down to a 1 versus 1, Achieved went big, being our MVP of the game as well. Found himself sat after that rehost at 7-3. Of course, we'll have the total stats for you after a short break, so we'll look at what that looks like then and talk more about it. But Tim, as expected, these two NA teams going blow for blow, taking each other's map and forcing out that third decider. I can't wait for it.
I really can't. We knew that it was going to be close. I think Bank's going to be a great map for it because we're going to have big roaming battles. We're going to have a lot of gunfights there going on. And yeah, for me, I think they're TSM come away with a little bit of an advantage there. I've always said this, in the second map of a best of 3, when you win that, you carry that momentum forward, and TSM have got that advantage now.
Well, we'll find out, because also on the other stream, it's happening with BDS. Don't forget, they won 7-3 on Cafe in the second map. So if they carry it through, it's kind of bittersweet because it doesn't affect the standings at all. As a reminder, in case you've joined us late, BDS now cannot get out of the group. They are eliminated in the group stage of SI22. DZ are safe. Now it's all about playing for points and positioning. If they get this win today against TSM, then TSM go to 7 points and DZ go to 4. Still quite a bit to play for tomorrow, especially knowing that DZ have the head-to-head against TSM. There's still so much more to play for, not just in this series, but in the group as well. We'll go to a quick break, and when we come back, Bank joins us for the last map of the day.